Hello everyone, good evening, and it's time for me, Haffy. Work, because we're ready to work at the Hungaroring this evening with some Formula 2 action in League of Europe. I'm QVR Killer to take you through it, and we've got a misshapen grid this evening. QVR, Nathan, Ariel, Felipe are both gone with the wind, and NSX Montana has a qualifying band to his name. But let's go on board for a lap of the Hungarian circuit. 14 corners this one, and we're on board with ERT Larkin. As you can see from time to time left on the screen, he's made a bit of a pig there of turn one there, went a little bit deep and suffered as a result. And then you can see as they ebb and flow up and down through turns 1 and 2 on the left hand side, Larkin sending it deep into turn 2, just about getting the car hooked around. Here's the tricky turn 4, straight a little way wide of the apex there, but kept it nicely in place. Screamer and Montana, both in the Primus, have retired in session. We're on board with Larkin in the Shrews. Tricky chicane now 6 and 7, but he kept it clean. There, a little snap of oversteer on the exit, but nice and tidy enough. 7 and 8 arrive at you very quickly, and then turn 9, a bit of a non-corner, even in F2 cars. Turn 10, a lot trickier, that one. Or was it 11? I don't know. And then 3 seconds exit towards turn 12, we've got Campbell, provisional pole right now for Cortez, Benjes third, Marty's fourth, and Larkin is fifth. And then the last 2 corners never ending as they are, turns 13 and 14, and the car just wanting to get away from Larkin just a touch, but he kept it under control and take a wide line in to 14 to pick up the throttle as you can see to the left. And Larkin nabs P4 on the line, only 2 thousandths shy of Martin. Look at that, 3rd, 4th and 5th, split by less than 1/100th of a second. Campbell is on pole by some margin though, half a second back to Cortez. And that was qualifying. And it's Campbell on pole. And speaking of Campbell, he's our championship leader. He's got 211 points, a 9-point lead over Montana, who gained in by 2 points last week at Baku. Verstappen's in 3rd, Connors 4th, Pease is 5th, Cortez is in 6th. He'll start 2nd in the feature. Larkin 7th, Luke 8th, then Tope, Rocco, Dari. Nathan is down in 12th, but he's expelled from the league, along with Felipe, then Marty, Koskappen, Brendan, Miami, Gilbreen, Farrell, Chill, and Lars Nowak complete the top 20. California 21st, 20th in effect, with the expulsion of Nathan. But it's going to be California, that man, P20 in the championship, who's going to be starting on sprint race pole. So that is a very, very interesting one. So, not made a spectacular imprint on the series so far this season. His highest points tally was 5 points. The round 4 sprint race, I've no idea what it is. I'll be honest with you, I can't remember that far back, but it'll be an interesting one to see, particularly with Montana carving his way through from the back of the field as well. And who is that in the high-tech there, having an absolute mare at turn 1? It's Luke, throwing his way off the grass. But let's focus in on our sprint race pole sitter, California 5. He's got the payload to take him to victory, so to speak, and can he convert that into victory? Just needs... we've seen in sprint race, you just need a good first couple of laps as Luke goes parasliding around turn 4 there. All you need is a good first couple of laps. Get a clean getaway, consolidate that start, and then you're ready to strike your way to victory later on. Otherwise, you can get caught in the crossfire, as it were, of the middle of the pack. Dari's in 2nd, formerly of Division 1 momentarily this season. in the Saturday League. He's now down in Division 2 and fairly anonymous there, but he's got a chance this evening for a good result. Let's have a look at the tyres. For a sprint race, we've got a real split in tyres here. We've got California on softs, Brendan, Tope, Benjes and Larkin on softs, Cortez on softs, Campbell on softs, and Energetics on softs. That is... it's starting to rain here at Hungary. I've not noticed that, but it is raining. So this is going to be very spicy indeed. And we've got, what as I said, 8 drivers on the soft, 9 on the medium. And, well, it could very much be a case of Skid Row down into turn 1 with all of the greasy track service. They've got cars spinning away. That's Luke once again. California's disqualified himself from the session, so he'll be starting far back in his grid spot, maybe with some cold tyres as well. Let's hope he doesn't have a meltdown into the first corner if that gets in his head a little bit. So, first 2 races this evening, 14 laps ahead of us. It's California on pole from Darry alongside him. We've not got a good camera angle at all. But we'll see how we get on. It's California who's going to lead us away here at the Hungary. It's a wet race with a real split in strategies. It's like that. Away we go. What a tremendous start there. Cali got on the soft tyres. Luke's ploughed past Darry into turn 2 as well. And can he have a run at the Charoux into 1? He's going to send it deep round the outside. But Cali's got that covered in behind him. And looking through the midfield there, we've got Benjes battling away with Tope, and someone's gone. And Larkin's had a massive spin. He's off into the wall. Front wings flying everywhere there. But up front, California, his teammate, is safely still ahead. And we've got side-by-side there between Brendan and Tope up the hill towards turn 4. Side-by-side through 3. Campbell's keeping a watching brief behind them, trying to capitalise. Our feature race pole sitter. And Tope has gone straight off the track there at turn 4, but he's still battling away with Brendan. It's clearly not a particularly fun track to be driving on right now. Montana's already up 6 places into P11, or 5 places, sorry, because he started ahead of Scream, and more damage there, and going off is Cortez, also on the front row in the feature race along with Campbell, and we've got all sorts of damage and all bits flying off everywhere here. It's absolute chaos in the first lap. There's Gat, who's battling away with former D5 chap there, Lasnaguar, and Lasnaguar into the wall. And is he out of this race? No, he's not. He's kept the car going. But that's tragic for him. California, I said, he's done exactly what he needed to do. He's a second clear up in front, clear of the slums in the midfield there, and at the back with all the wings flying off. But Campbell's the one you need to watch for. He's going hunting in the middle of the pack there. And I think it's still very much within his capabilities, looking at the cars ahead of him, that he can take a double victory here today. I know we're already on lap 2, but there's no reason why he can't do that. And then now he comes up the inside of Benjes into turn 1. Is anyone going to come into the pits after the scrapyard of the first lap? I don't think so. But no one is coming in. They're all staying out with their damaged front wings. Unsurprising, perhaps there's no one else who's going to make a pit stop in this race. You kind of just got to get on with it a little bit. Sagat has had a moment at the exit of turn 1. He's going to come in the MP Motorsport car. His teammate, incidentally, is not here this evening. And we've got contact there between Pease and is that IRT Tope, and also spinning around is Rocco. We've got a virtual safety car, and Pease is out of this race in his dams. Is it Energetics that's got going? I think it was Energetics actually that made a mistake. Or Cortez is getting out of the way of Tope. Perhaps he's got a illegal overtake or something. Energetics and Larkin will be ruining the fact this is not a full safety car, so they can find their way back up front. Currently sitting on the fringe, really, of the main pack somewhere. We've got a little gap that's splintered up between Marty and the Scream. But we'll see how this goes. We've got California leading in the Charoux, and then 2 high-techs behind. In a bit of a standoff with each other, and then Darry, who slipped to 4th from 2nd on the grid. Campbell is in 5th. Benjes is 6th. As we've got a drive-through penalty for Marty speaking down the pit lane. We've got people coming into the pits now for intermediate tyres. Others are staying out. Brendan's in, Darry's in, Benjes is in, Montana's in, Marty's in, Tope is in. So's Energetic, so's Larkin. This could be absolutely huge. Let's get a gap to leader on and see how those gaps evolve. California has stayed out, as is Luke, as has Campbell, as has Scream, as has Rocco, as has Cortez. Everyone else is in, and I feel like perhaps these leading 6 have made a bit of a bummer here. I mentioned Skid Row earlier. It could be Skid Row with the dry tyres on a wet track here. They're going to need a bit of a comeback on this lap in terms of the pace if they're going to have any chance of success. So let's have a look at the first driver on the intermediates. On the wet tyres, sorry, not intermediates. Wet tyres, of course, it is F2. He's actually Forza Brendan. So he's 29.1 seconds off the lead, and he is gaining actually rapidly there through turns 2 and 3 as Cortez passes Scream, struggling to keep the car in a straight line now, goes onto the grass and lights up the rear tyres, and the car is going to go straight round there. And that was not something he needed because he's losing time hand over fist anyway. Brendan is still gaining, or is he gaining? No, it's not. He's not gaining hand over fist like I was expecting him to. But you presume that the tyre advantage there is very much in the pipeline for these wet runners, and our leaders are now coming in. California had a 1.2 second lead. He's into the pits. Campbell's in. Lucas stayed out again. I'm interested to see if Forza Brendan, where the two high-techs are in relation to each other, because they were battling on track or quite close to it. Where are they going to come out afterwards? California is in, and Rocco's sped his way into the pit lane on the wet tyres, couldn't slow the car down. Cortez has avoided a similar fate. Brendan is going to be the first of our wet runners, so let's see where he is in relation to California when he comes out the pits. I think it's actually going to be quite close between them, and California is actually going to lose the net lead of this race. Brendan takes a sensational lead early on in the sprint here, and that was who was that we saw go straight off? It was Darry actually going straight off on track, and Campbell slots in behind him at turn 1. Ben JS is sitting behind the stick. Look at Montana. Started at 16th. He's now up to 7th. He's gained 9 places, and Larkin, after his earlier dramas, is now in P8. So the early stops have paid dividends for those that did stop early, and it's a bit of an undercut for everyone on the wet tyres, making their moves towards the lead. Luke is for a world of pain if he's going to try to stay up for the next 10 laps. As Montana nearly drops it there, finding Ben JS towards turn 6, but he just about keeps it together. Let's check. Let's pull up stream, see if anyone's in the comments. While we wait, is Luke going to come into the pits, or is he going to stay out and cause a bit of chaos? Hello to the 5 of you that are watching with me, listening to me drone on here this evening. Luke's lead is given up another second, but he's staying out, and well, if the track condition don't get worse, he's losing about 3 seconds a lap, so he would finish around Energetics and Sagat territory were he to stay out, but you feel that pace deficit is only going to get worse here, and I think we're really now on a countdown to Luke falling victim to pretty much all of those behind him. As Darry gets past Campbell and California in turn 1, and there's contact there. The camera cut away at a pivotal moment, and Darry inside of Montana as well, and behind them look at Ben JS and Darry dicing away into turn 2 here, and Bender's got to be careful because you've got Montana parked in front of him in the Prima. Meanwhile, Montana's going to cut back, try and get a run at Cali, and he's going to go around the outside here in turn 4. California's going to be a brave man to fight this, and he lets it go, but nearly hits the back of the Prima in the process. Our pole sitter drops to P5 now. That pitting a lap later really cost him, because he was looking relatively comfortable up front. As Ben JS is prowling for a way through now. He's going to be the next one to set his sights on the back of that Charouz. And California's going to have to play defender here and do everything he can to keep the high-tech behind, because but he's going to find himself very vulnerable there, and Ben JS slides straight into the side of California. An ill-advised move from the ART, and he's going to lose a place as a result. Darius picked up a penalty, by the way, worth noting. Was that his? No, it's 5 seconds. It was a speeding pen. Understandable if he's sliding the bits on dry tyres. Luke's gap, though, slashed to just 3 seconds this lap. The strategy of stay out on the dries hasn't really worked, but I think he's going to play backup here for his teammate, Forza Brendan, once he gets past. So is Brendan going to receive any resistance from Luke in towards turn 1? I don't think he is. So Brendan, now the overlord of this race, out in P1, and as I said, Luke's going to play defender and do everything he can to keep Campbell and co behind. Montana versus Campbell. These two, I know it's reverse grid, but Campbell started 10th, Montana started 16th. They're now right next to each other on track, and Luke can do nothing to defend actually from anybody on track. Montana slides and glides through into P3. Well, so in hindsight, the aftermath of Luke's fairly shambolic decision is that he's now down in 4th place. He's probably going to finish even lower down that. He could well end up finishing, well, probably will finish last in this race. He's doing lap times miles and miles and miles off the pace of anybody else in Montana versus Campbell. This is really where it's at. Our championship leaders jostling and fighting away. And let's see if Montana can ascend any further through the field here. It's a bit of a wet work, this race, but it's been a tremendous battle of a conflict of strategies and decisions, both on the dry tyres and on when to come in for the wets as well. So I'm very excited for the next 8 laps of this race. I'm sad my co-commentator couldn't be here, but you know, it is what it is. Them's the breaks. Luke's loses another not 2 places. He's down to P9 now, as Cortez is shaping up the back of ERT Larkin. The Carlin versus the Cherouz as they come around turn 14. And Cherouz more confident on the brakes despite Larkin's ABS there. They're now going to get the run towards turn 1. And let's see how this evolves. And as Rocco now passes Luke on the exit of turn 14. And that shows you, if anything, that Luke is struggling for traction here. He may as well be in Morocco, his pace in this race, rather than Hungary. He is so slow. And let's just have a look at Cortez getting ready to strike as Montana is up ahead as well. And could this be good night and checkmate for Larkin? No, it's not. He defends well from Cortez into turn 4, but he'll run a shoddy line through turn 5. And Cortez trying to cut underneath, tags the back of Larkin out of the exit of 5 towards the little nifty chicane of 6 and 7 is up ahead. Ben JS in the ART goes very deep at 6, just sliding, skating over the track. And but we've got a few battles. We've got Montana versus Campbell, we've got California versus Ben JS, and we've got Larkin versus Cortez. Both Cherouz putting up staunch defences here, but there's been a bit of contact between Cali and Ben JS, and can Ben JS make a move here into turn 12? He slides deep on the brakes. California gives him more than enough space, but I think Ben JS is through, and he is, and now California's going to cause a problem for his teammate trying to defend from Larkin. Larkin getting tagged again by Cortez as they come through there. We had a yellow flag out briefly. I think Montana made a mistake, because look, he was a couple of tenths behind Campbell. He's now 2.4 seconds behind Campbell, so either Montana's made a mistake or our championship protagonists have come to blows. His advances have been hijacked there, and also getting hijacked is Larkin for P7. Cortez is in a mighty battle with the 2 Cherouzes here. California lets his teammate go, and he also lets Cortez go. Cortez, he looks right, he looks left, he darts to the inside. He's going to punt a send up the inside of Larkin, and there's nothing Larkin can do about this, but he's got the inside line for turn 3 now, and Cortez lights up the rear tyres. He spears his way into the side of that Cherouz, and he's going to find himself vulnerable to the other one now, as here's California coming around the outside of turn 4, but Cortez isn't going to give that up, and California has to concede. But that was a little bit desperate from Cortez into turn 4, and California nearly caught in the crossfire there, the conflict between Larkin and Cortez. As it is, he lives to fight another day. Montana now 4 seconds behind Campbell. He must be running with some kind of damage there, because he is shambolically slow. But tell you what, he's not slow. Brendan's quicker than Campbell, or has been on this lap by 4 tenths per second. He's looking healthy out there, and that's it. Well, you can see why, because Campbell's missing his front right end plate. Montana has no visible damage, but his pace is no better than Campbell's, so presumably there's something wrong with that car. As we've just seen Martha get passed by Luke, and Luke still hasn't come in and changed those awful medium compound tyres, and no chance of a comeback for him. But there is a very good one for Montana, on for a solid podium, gained half a second on Campbell, and then goes sailing straight on into turn 1. So let's return our attentions to the main battle on track. It's Ben JS versus Larkin versus California. Ben JS went very deep at 1. Larkin's going to have the outside for 2, but when he plays this smart, he switched to the inside to turn 3, and Larkin, in fact, doesn't even need turn 3. He can go straight around the outside. The car just skids a little bit deep, though, as there's a correction for Cortez behind him, but yeah, he has got the inside for 3, and he's going to just brush Ben JS out, and Cortez is going to nip through. He's got the move on Ben JS. Could even make 2 for the price of 1 here. He's got the inside of Larkin, but he's not brave enough for that, and probably he's too sensible for that. He didn't need to make the move. But, yeah, look at them, nose to tail. They're like gridlock traffic here at Hungary, and the top 4 placings all seem pretty settled right now. It's our battle for P5 is where it's at, because no one else is really in contention for any kind of overtake here. So we're focusing on this one, and see if there's anything Cortez can do about Larkin, or is anything Ben JS can do. He slipped back to a second as Larkin goes very wide at turn 11. Won't cost him any time though. May cost him a warning in the grand scheme of things later on in the race. But I think we're just at a bit of a crossroads right now with where we are in this race, and hopefully we'll see some action come to the fore later on. Montana has taken the second he lost to Campbell back out of the ART, so I don't think Montana is actually running with damage. He's just making some uncharacteristic mistakes, but you know, that's to be expected. That you're going to have an off race at some point. As Rocco passes California, say an off race for Montana, he's gone from 16th to 3rd. It would be harsh for me to call it an off race, but they are the standards Montana sets himself. As Rocco defends the undercut well for California, it's not really gone well for him since the pit stop, struggling on the wet tyres. You'd think the medium traction that he runs on the full traction will be doing them absolute bits in the wet, but doesn't seem to be the case, and he's really struggling there because he can get the car out of turn 2 into 3, and he's already lost 6 tenths to Rocco. And he is a bit of a passenger, a bit of a carrier in this race. Is California. He's not doing too much at all. He's not having the impact on the race perhaps he intended from pole position. Slip from pole to 9th is just going to be so unfortunate for him, and not at all what he would have been expecting. His teammate has fared better since his early dramas, but it has still got a Cortez behind him, although I should say in the process they are both reeling in Darry at an absolute rate of knots here. They were over 3 seconds behind. Darry had a penalty anyway, 5-second penalty. They're going to catch him up comfortably before the end of the race. Montana's gap on Campbell is now 1.8 seconds. We are going to see, I think, Montana versus Campbell part 2. And we're going to get a battle, another 3-way battle, this time Darry, Larkin and Cortez. Ben JS has dropped well adrift of these guys. Perhaps he's carrying some damage. So we have got a showdown coming, and it is between these two. It's NSX Montana versus QVR Campbell. We never saw them fight it out for a League of Europe Formula 1 title, but a Formula 2 title battle is very much brewing here. And some championships can be a little bit rusty, a little bit stale, but certainly, particularly those that feature NSX Montana, but not this one, as Campbell and Montana are giving us a Formula 2 battle for the ages. Tope now passes California into turn 1 and then defence place into turn 2. And California is now back to where he qualified, P10, after starting in first. Marty has passed Lars, who's had a shoddy exit out of turn 1 somewhere because he's already very far adrift. And Luke still running around on the dry tyres. He's now, what is he? 1 minute 11 seconds, 1 minute 12 seconds off the lead. But we are now got our three-way battle for P4. And I think this could turn into a bit of a war zone here. It's going to be like Yemen or Karachi out in Formula 2. We saw bomb drones and strike zones galore at Baku last week, and it's going to be a similar situation this week. Is Cortez goes for it at the inside of Larkin into turn 13. Larkin defends around the outside. He'll pick up the traction earlier, switch to the inside for 14. He's covered Cortez off well there, and I think Cortez has mugged himself off a little bit, but they've got to be careful. This will give Dari a big helping hand later on, because it's giving him some breathing space for another couple of lap or two. Montana now back within 3 tenths of Campbell, but getting the power down too racy out of turn 1, and he's pulled back a 4-second deficit, to Campbell. And if he hadn't made that mistake, whatever it was earlier on, he would be, I'm sure, ahead of, if not right on the tail of Brennan right now. Campbell slow out of turn 3. Montana's got the outside of 4. He's going to commit to this with N6 Montana, or at least he's going to force Campbell very deep. Hits the back of the ART, and then Campbell will park in the middle of the road. Cuts Montana out of any chance for move there. And so we go again towards turn 6, and Campbell's covering off, but is it too late as Montana switches the inside and then the outside? He'll try and force Campbell into mistake, compromise his line. He knows he's got damage. Or are we positively certain of it that Campbell will have damage given his pace? So Montana's just trying to force Campbell to take those tighter lines and have those poorer exits later on at the next corner. And he has to back off here. Monaco without the houses. Said Murray Walker's last retires on track, and with 2 laps to go, could that be a blink and you miss it 1 lap safety car or VSC? It is not. So we're still under green, and we're going to be under green to the end. And Montana still fighting for a way, still making those micro corrections on the wheel, and you can see he takes the tighter line through 14 there. Got more confidence, tighter exit as well. He knows he can get on the power earlier, but he's lining up the rear wheels, and that'll do him no favours whatsoever. He's got 2 laps now to do something about the ART ahead of him. Meanwhile, Dari looking back to Larkin and Cortez. Larkin's not particularly close on this lap, and again he's going to probably have one more shot to turn 1 on the next lap unless Dari can make a mistake. So much quicker Larkin and Cortez than Dari. As Dari actually lights up the rear wheels, he might invite Larkin in now, and Larkin's got a good run from 1 towards turn 2. Is he going to commit to the outside? No, he's not. Dari covers him off, and Larkin's careful he doesn't hit the back of Dari's car there, and indeed he will have to sit back and wait. Look at the run Larkin's getting out of turn 3 again. I don't think Dari's got damage. I think he's just not as confident without ABS or in these conditions as Larkin is behind him. ABS does wonders for you in the rain. A gap for P2 is 4 tenths per second. Gap for P4 is 3 tenths per second. Larkin knows as well Dari's got a penalty, but he won't want to sit behind and then open himself up to a move from Cortez, who is right on Larkin's rear end there. And it has been a slow burner, this one. But it has been a slow burner. It's been an icebreaker, I suppose you could say. Is it an appetizer for the main event later on? And Energetics passes Sagat, who's made a mistake there. But we go on to the last lap, and Montana's... Oh, and Cortez has passed Larkin there at turn 13. He's been caught napping. That's the Shrews. But let's quickly nip back and see if Montana can do anything about Campbell. We're on to the last lap. Brendan's got this race covered off unless he gets a last lap penalty. But Montana's got no straight line speed to contend with Campbell. He'll need to set himself up for a good exit out of turn 1. Can't afford to light the rear tyres up too much, but Montana making silly mistakes. Small mistakes, but silly mistakes. So we'll return to the battle for P4, and Cortez defending from Larkin, and his best defence from Larkin is to attack Dari, and he's looking around the outside. He's got to be careful here because he could open up an opportunity behind him. I think Larkin, though, a little bit frustrated, slid a bit wide at turn 2, and now Cortez has got a run on Dari towards turn 4. He's looking to the outside line. He doesn't need to make this move, but he knows Larkin's hunting behind him. He is hunted in this race, and contact there, and Campbell and Montana, fighting away, and Montana's made another mistake. Perhaps tried an overtaking to turn 6. He's gone straight on at the chicane Cortez avoids doing a similar thing, but Darry is a problem for him right now, because as long as he's behind Darry, he opens himself up to a last gasp send from Larkin into turn 13 or turn 12, whatever, but Larkin seems to have dropped to some way off, so now this is just about Cortez getting past Darry on track. And we've just got a couple of corners to go now. Paul Brendan's going to win this race by 2.2 seconds from Campbell as Cortez tries it on the inside of Darry there. Darry's very given with the space, and then they get caught together, and is this going to invite Larkin through? And Larkin sails through into P4. Checkmate and bon appetit from Larkin. He is feasting there. He nabs P4 at the end because Cortez have no patience. And it's Brendan who wins from Campbell, from Montana, from Larkin who's going to take 4th. Cortez will be 5th. Darry in the end gets 6th, but he'll drop with the penalty. Ben JS will take 6th. Darry drops to 7th. Rocco, also with a penalty, going to be 8th on track, but he'll drop behind California, who started on pole, not gone his way in the wet, has finished 10th. Sagat is going to be home 11th, and Energetics and Marty will swap places, and Scream and Luke has already crossed the line. Lars and Peas, our non-finishers, and I'm going to take a break before the feature race. Right, welcome back, and thank the Lord. We've got a dry race ahead of us, so there'll be no downturn in proceedings here. Hopefully we're going to get a much better race than the one we had first time around, which was a little strung out, and I think most people were just cargo in that race, to be honest with you. So let's see what our 17 drivers can muster so around it. It's Campbell this time on pole position from Cortez. Montana starts 16th again, so there's an extra 9 cars between the two of those this time around. but I think very much you can expect the Montana Express to be on its way on a charge through the field. Let's check the tyres. Top 6 has all gone medium. We've got a bit of a field split here. 8 of the top 9 on medium, and 6 of the bottom 8 on soft. Apologies for the obvious pause there for my quick maths. I've had a long day at work and I'm having a bit of a meltdown, but you know, what can you do? Right. So after Baku last week with dry races in Formula 2, I hope you've got your hard hats on, because this could be about to get a little bit messy. And I don't mean the Lionel kind or the Cristiano Ronaldo kind. It's going to be a bit of a chaotic race. I think carbon flying everywhere. We'll see how many drivers are fallen by the end of it. And we'll keep an eye on Montana, because he is the man on the mission, isn't he? Right now, down in P15. We'll see what he can achieve. Oh, we're up to 7 viewers. Hello, 7 viewers. Nice of you to be joining us. Please do comment in stream if in chat if you're watching, because it gives me something to talk about. Tell me what you had for dinner. I haven't actually eaten yet. I was thinking of having a sausage sandwich, but I'll probably just end up having some granola or something, because I have a terrible diet. At least it's granola and not waffles. I don't know. Right. So, as I said, we've avoided the downpour of the sprint race, which is the first success, and now let's see where things go from here. Right, we have 19 laps ahead of us. It's Campbell on pole from QVR Cortez. Can we get a good view? No, we can't, but we're underway, and Campbell got a lightning start. Until you didn't get a lightning start, Marty, because Larkin is already up his inside here towards turn 1. Meanwhile, Cortez switches to the outside. He's having a challenge on pole, so did Campbell go straight round the outside as Larkin sneaks up the inside behind them. Marty in the dams has got to be careful he doesn't get boxed in, and he's looking for a way around Cortez, but Cortez is blocking him tremendously, and Larkin's going to sneak around the outside again, switches inside for turn 3. They bump wheels, and Larkin through into a podium place here. As let's have a look further down the field with Marty sodding in behind Larkin, but California goes very wide at turn 4. He's got Brendan out to contend with, round his outside, and Ariel Pease as well. Montana's already up 4 places. He's up to P12. Having a look at the back of this ding-dong battle as they come into the interchange of turn 6 and 7 at the little tricky chicane there. Peasel being, I think, a bit of a problem for Montana, probably more so than the cars he's come up ahead so far. Now the field has just briefly strung itself out. Campbell has got a solid lead here, well over a second up in front. Montana picking out the spot his braking point into turn 11 as Pease, meanwhile, is having a look up the inside of California into 13. So we'll be careful he doesn't let Montana in, because the Swiss will be hungry for a victory here. As we've got a yellow flag, and that is GTZ Cortez. Was P2. He's dropped out of turn 14. He's up ahead. Pease versus California into turn 1. California is going to lunge Teo Porcher style on the inside there. It's not enough to fend off Pease, who goes clean around the outside. Can Montana follow him through? Is California going to cover the inside or the outside? He covers the inside. Montana's going to have a look around the outside. He's got the dams of Pease in his way, though, to block any advance, but Montana doesn't need to worry about that. He's quick enough as it is. He gets through, and he's now once again got Pease back in his sights. California is not having a happy time of it at Hungary, understandably so, given the situation right now. We've got Sagat on the back of the screen into turn 5 there. I don't think we've got any other moves happening? No, we have, because look at this between Brendan and Darry. I think there was a bit of desync there into turn 7. Darry comes out of it on top for now, but now Brendan's very vulnerable to Pete coming around the outside of turn 8, and once again Montana's the one who's caught watching behind them, and in the end they just part like the Red Sea out of his way, and Montana's through as they take each other out of the race, or at least to the rear ends, to the slums of the field there. And Brendan, momentarily under siege, is now needing to stage a comeback. End of lap 2, counts as far as I've race 28.5. Look how far Luck is behind, although there was a Cortez in that gap before it dropped to the back of the field, down in P15, looking to make advances, and also looking to make advances is Gat around the outside of Scream, but Gat just goes so deep on the brakes there. Doesn't get the car turned in, and then struggles to get the car out of the wall as he lights up the rear tyres. We've got another yellow flag, but it won't amount anything because he's got no damage there. He'll just keep the car running nicely. Montana's now got Darius in his sights. He's behind the 2 IRT guys, and he's circling that Campos like a satellite in action. And let's see if he can make any kind of move into turn 6 and 7. He tried it on Camel in the sprint race, couldn't make it work. And you can see he pulls out to spot his braking point there. I think he's just trying to spook Darry a little bit, just show him, hello, I'm here, and into turn 8. In fact, we don't even need to wait for the straight, because Montana is going to try it up the inside of 8, around the outside of 9, and on the soft tyres. He knows he needs to make these moves. In the inside of the kink of 10, around the outside of turn 11. Darry doesn't want to give this up easily, but he gives Montana more than enough space. But look at Luke now, up the inside of Darry, and Darry should have perhaps been a bit more aggressive there, because he's allowed not 1, but 2 cars through. Luke does well to avoid the back of Montana in the braking zone, turn 12. Montana's up another place. He could use assault P6, 1 more place past Taupe, and Campbell will see Montana on his delta, and we think, could you not be doing a better job, you absolute cretins behind, to stop that Swiss man from the Alps and his ascent to glory here. We could yet end up with a Campbell versus Montana battle of victory as California passes Darry now, and he's just found a bit of stability perhaps, but he's got to defend this place into turn 2 because they are wheel to wheel as they come now down the hill. And California will have the inside for 3, but he's going to squeeze himself out onto the grass, but he muscles his way through. Still the outside for 4, and in fact he gets punted into the wall by ERL Energetics, who I think was being a bit of an idiot there, hanging around the outside. And we've brought out a full safety car. And is anyone going to make a pit stop under this? Are our soft runners going to make a pit stop? We shall see, as California's race is derailed and he falls into the gaping, falls into the gaping chasm there of the barrier at the exit of turn 3. He'll be wishing his good friend Miami was here to console him, but Miami not racing this week. So let's see. Check in with our lead and see does anyone come into pits. The medium runners absolutely will not. Our lead soft runner is Montana. Is Montana going to come in and give himself very old mediums for the end of the race? He is. And Luke hits the back of Montana into the pit lane. He'll be getting an angry DM after the race, I'm sure. But Luke was trying to get a move there down on safety car. Very cheeky, Seb Vettel style. As Energetics, who took California out of the race, will be needing a new front wing. Rocco stays out. All of our soft runners are coming in, so you have to think that is the race right there for Montana. Leading soft runner, safety car played into his hands, and he's now in the net lead of this race. The luck this man has is absolutely remarkable. Brendan and Pease take each other out right in front of him, and now he gets a perfectly timed safety car just as he ascends to the lead soft runner. Remarkable. But I suppose when you're that good, it's not just luck. You have to have that instinct, don't you, for victory. You have to sniff the opportunities as they come at you on the horizon, and Montana certainly can do that. I'm going to soothe my voice because I've got no conflict to hand over to, so I'll be back with you in a minute or so. So if you're just joining us, we're under a safety car because California's Fives race came to a terminal end when he was punted into the wall by ERL Energetics. Meanwhile, NSX Montana's recovery from a qualifying ban has lifted him into the upper echelons of the field. He's in P8 right now, but a net leader in this race after making an early pit stop. He's on a great recovery, and QVR Campbell will be spitting feathers out in front. Montana can't help himself, can he? He is just too good. From the back lot of the field, he's now in the forecourt and he's ready to fight for a potentially dominant Formula 2 victory with his pit stop, his lengthy pit stop, already done. No 30-second pit loss time for him, so Campbell could find himself well adrift by the end of the race. And I think Campbell will be looking at this from a damage limitation perspective. He kept ahead of Montana in the in the sprint race. He's now got to try and be a bit of a stronghold. Safety car's in this lap. That's very late to keep Montana in his mirrors in this championship fight. So when's Campbell going to go? Coming round turn 14 now. Larkin's the one watching him. Let's go aboard with Larkin. Larkin not wanting to weave. He's not wanting to get baited into anything here. And the later Campbell goes, the more predictable he makes himself. And Larkin is tucked into his slipstream nicely. He's predicted that launch from Campbell. The gap's less than 2 tenths of a second. Is Larkin going to send this into turn 1? He's having a look. Montana passes the screen. We've got battling ahead into turn 1 as well. Cortez still hasn't pitted. He's recovered from his early spin. He's trying to get past Taupe. And the leaders are scampering away here on lap 7. Ben JS has got to be careful. He's got Taupe and Cortez dicing way behind him. Cortez is on the outside. Look who's on there inside. It's NSX Montana as they switch to the outside of turn 3. Off the track, Montana catches a big slide there. And he can't afford to get any damage. He's got this race in the palm of his hand. He doesn't need to fight these guys ahead of him, much as he might be inclined to. As Luke plummets on the exit of turn 4, and we've got 2 Red Bull liveried cars there. That was Lars and the Scream briefly in combat into turn 4, and also off the track there, Energetics gets hit by Sagat. Karma, would California say there, as he gets striked by the MP Motorsport car. But up ahead, let's see what we've got. We've got IRT Taupe and Dari, the 2 Germans fighting through turn 11, and Taupe gets a shoddy run through 11, and on the soft tyres, Dari's going to nip through. He's into a net P2 in this race, barring any penalties or further safety cars or mishaps. Cortez, meanwhile, passes Ben JS, and Montana nips through as well. Ben JS has lost it on traction coming out of turn 12. Montana up into 5th place now, and it's going to be a bit of a problem for him. It's going to be a bit of a problem for Ben JS as well, because look at this. Look at the trains towing round the last corner. They're all chomping for a move there on the ART, and it's going to be Dari who's first up on the soft tyres, looking around the outside of Ben JS. He'll try and force him to take a deep line, cut underneath, get the car nice and straight, nice and early, and have a launch towards turn 2. Taupe is the next one to attack the ART ban, but I think Taupe hasn't pitted yet, so that would explain why he's a little further adrift. Rocco and Brendan have come to blows at turn 2, and Luke says thank you very much, and he nips up the inside into turn 3 there. Benje's now 2 seconds behind Montana. He's really struggling for pace on these medium compound tyres, and a little bit, probably feeling a little bit vacant right now. Had no pace in the sprint race, had no pace right now in the feature, and he's on the wrong strategy as well. Montana, meanwhile, is hunting behind the back of GTZ Cortez in the Williams liveried Carling car, while Montana himself is in the Prima. Dennis Hauger's Prima, in fact. Scream and Rocco battling away, as is Lars and Pease, both in Red Bull cars, or Red Bull liveried cars, and Pease is on medium tyres, so both of these guys on the wrong strategy. But nevertheless, they'll try and make something of it, and they'll need a safety car later on if they're going to have any impact in this race. Montana passes Cortez, and Cortez, the reason why is he's dropped out of turn 14. Didn't think a move was immediately forthcoming there, and once again another car spins their way out of Montana's way. And P's up the inside of Lars into 1. That was a nice bit of opportunism from the Brit. And he's through past the Dutchman called Energetics has spun again at the exit of the last corner. So Montana's now just got 3 people in front of him, and he's already made his pit stop. He's cruising his way to possibly the most dominant victory he's ever seen here. As we've got Luke and Scream into turn 3. Luke's through, recovered well from his earlier spin, and makes up another place. He's up in P11 now with a net P10 with Rocco Reggiferu's penalty. So let's get the tyres on. Soft runners, people who have pitted, Pease, Lars, Darry, but Darry's pitted onto soft, so actually he might be struggling to get to the end of this race. Rocco's pitted for soft, Luke's pitted onto softs, Brendan's pitted onto mediums, Gat and Energetic. So probably in the best position is Montana 1, Pease 2, Lars 3 in this race, but Lars has got to be careful of Rocco and Luke immediately behind him, who have also pitted, but are on tyres that will very much be struggling come the end of the race. Marty is perhaps the next to make a move as he's pursuing Larkin's Charouz, and he's going to nip to the inside here and try and spook Larkin, going a little bit deep into turn 1. Larkin's wise to it. He gets a good run out of the first corner, and I think he's covered the place off. But look at Montana trying to go around the outside of Marty now on fresher rubber, round the outside of turn 2. I think he's got this one done, but no, Marty closes the door on him, does the Bulgarian. And Montana will have to be a little more patient. Campbell sees at 3 seconds though. Montana needn't worry, he'll have an over 24 second lead after the pit stops are done. There's Rocco and Luke pass Lars, and Lars, who's going so well for you, but he's hit the wall out of 3, lit the tyres up, and he's got damage as well, so any hope of him potentially fighting for a podium in the latter stages of the race are gone, as Cortez there getting a good exit and a good run past Forza Brendan, who I think as well is also running with damage in the race, and indeed he is, quite significant damage. Look at that, the right side is the front wing practically all missing. So Marty versus Larkin versus Montana part 2, and Marty's perhaps ill-advisedly taking very deep lines there, and they dive into the pit lane in hopes of a safety car, and it comes, and Marty resets to track in the pause menu, I think, preempting a slide into the wall. He hit the back of Larkin, tried to force his way through on the Charouz. It was a very late call from both of them. Hit the back of Larkin, then lit up his tyres, was on his one-way ticket into the wall, preempted the slide, and hit reset to track in the pause menu. Very sus from the Dams driver, but this is awful timing for Campbell. With the safety car being right at exit, it was deployed at the absolute worst moment for Campbell. He is going to drop like an absolute stone. Everyone else is going to be able to, at free pace, to catch up to Campbell now. Whereas Campbell is limited by the safety car speed. So Montana will inherit the lead of this race. Luke will take P2. Larkin's now P3 on fresh softs, and arguably in the best position in this race when you factor in track position and tyres, whereas Campbell, because of the timing of the safety car's deployment, is going to fall so far down the field. And on energetics, I'm going to peddle a conspiracy theory here. I think he paused and retired from the race in the pause menu, because he went, it brought out a yellow flag, spun, and then didn't retire for another 10 or 15 seconds or so. I think Energetics, after his 3rd or 4th spin of the day, thought, I can't be bothered, hit the pause menu, retired, brought out a safety car. Either that, or he just drove straight to the wall. Now, Campbell. This is going to be the longest pit stop of this young man's short life, because he sees Montana take lead, and now he's just going to watch them all come down the pit straight as he comes into his pit box to be serviced by his ART crew, and he's going to lose quite a few places here, down to 8th Cortez and Scream will get through, maybe even Peas as well, because they can go at full pelt to catch up to safety car. And I think Peas is going to get through as well. It's going to be quite close. Peas is through. Is Tope through? Is Tope going to beat Campbell to the safety car line? Oh, and he goes straight on there, and I think that'll hand Campbell the place. I don't know why Tope felt the need to fight that too hard when it's QVR Campbell, who's the championship leader in F2. But there we go. So, Montana started this race in 16th. Campbell started this race in first, but because of the timing of two safety cars that just conspired completely against Campbell, you could not have less luck in this race if you tried. He's now 11th. Montana's now leading. It has made Montana's task a little bit harder because it's bunched the field up. He would have been leading this race much more comfortably had the safety car not intervened, but it has forced Campbell out of contention more so than perhaps otherwise would have done, because he's now ended up behind people like Larkin, like Marty, who were on the same strategy as him, but because of the timing of the safety car were able to make their pit stop. Campbell could not. He had passed pit entry when the safety car was deployed, but hadn't managed to pass pit exit by the time the safety car rolled out into turn 1, and the result was the game held Campbell behind the safety car, and he was limited by its speed for an entire lap. And because it's the safety car, I'm going to take another momentary pause to soothe my vocal cords. Right, safety car is in this lap, so that seems a good time for me to return from my slumber and talk you through the last 6 laps of this race. And Montana, when is he going to go? Is he going to try to catch Luke lapping? They're both on the same age tyres, but Luke's on softer tyres, and I honestly will have no idea which tyres are quicker right now. Larkin will need to make a move sharpish if he's going to have any hope of challenging Montana, Luke and co. And Montana's gone quite early there, and Larkin particularly has been caught napping, and Luke's going to get the run on Montana, who's trying to break the toe down towards turn 1, but I think Montana's got that safety car off. He has indeed. So we turn our attentions further back. The screen is under attack from Cortez and from Pease in towards turn 1. Cortez decides his best chance of defending from Pease is to force his way up the inside of Scream and cuts the corner in the process. A pretty dirty move if you ask me there. Pease nips through on Scream as well. Campbell has now got the inside line towards turn 2, and finally he gets some luck with the contact at him, and there's all sorts of manner of contact there. Cortez has got wing damage off the back of Rocco as Campbell picks up a penalty. Pease and Scream took each other out to turn 2 as well, but Campbell, net result, has gained 3 places in his pursuit of Montana. Rocco might be running with damage as well. It looks like there's contact between himself and Darry up ahead Larkin. Look at this, less than 2 minutes behind Luke. Those fresher tyres are working an absolute treat for him, but he's got to get the move done if he wants to challenge Montana for victory. And it won't be an easy task for him, even if he does get past. Marty is close as well. Luke's dragging a bit of a train here with just over 5 laps to go in this race, and Marty will be wanting to get a move back on Larkin after nearly getting damage off the Cheroos into the pit lane under the safety car. But and getting close to the back of him there as well. They come round turn 14 for the 14th time in this race, and Luke's going to be getting an earful of some Cheroos and some dams here. Come towards turn 1, Larkin's got a tremendous exit, but he's not getting the slipstream towards turn 1. I wonder if Luke's running a slightly lower downforce configuration than Larkin. Larkin's going to have to go around the outside here, and it's his only best chance to defend from Marty. There was contact there between them, but I think they've avoided any damage, and Larkin is through into turn 2, and Marty's got to be careful he doesn't hit the back of Luke there. And look at Ben JS right behind them as well. Ben JS has joined the fight, joined the fun. Luke's going to act as a bottleneck now in this train for probably to the end of the race, or until at least they can get past as Marty goes off the track there. He's running with a penalty as well. Doesn't want to be picking up warnings willy-nilly, because he would lose a place to Darry right now as well. Everyone behind him, the 3 cars behind him, has got penalties. Cortez has dropped it out of turn 5. And I don't think he's got damage, but he is running now down in last place. Can Campbell make a move on Rocco? He's still got that wing damage. I say still, I think he's picked up wing damage when he was making those moves through the chaos as Rocco goes off the track and all the way off the track and extends his way to keeping P7 there. Martin, though, is still hustling for a move on the back of Luke. He's going to force his way through at turn 13 here. Marty's looked a little bit reckless and aggressive with some of his moves that he's trying to pull today. He's got around the outside of 14. He's not able to cut back underneath, so that's going to leave himself in a precarious position when it comes to Ben Jess. He's going to tuck into Luke's slipstream and will pull out to make a nice late move. We've got DRS enabled, and that won't be for another lap in effect. Ben Jess goes to the outside. Luke's doing his rummy mate a favour here. Blocks off the inside for Marty, but Marty still sneaks through. Luke's P4. Ben Jess has now got the inside into turn 2 to try and make a move, and it's going to be contact between 2 of them, but it's not terminal contact between them, and Ben Jess around the outside, and there is the terminal contact. Ben Jess smacks the wall, and he drops down. That's another place gain for Campbell, importantly for him in terms of the contact championship fight, as Rocco is now hunting on the back of Darry, and Rocco's got a penalty. Darry does not. Both on similarly aged tyres. As Campbell gets sucked onto the curb there, goes straight off into the gravel, and all of the good work that he'd done since the safety car came in is all for naught. He drops to P12, and a race that he should have won quite easily, for reasons now both against him and out of his control, and now his own mistakes are going to cost him very, very heavily, because none of the 5 cars ahead of him have a penalty. His gap spins at turn 10. So where's the battle right now? It's the Luke train on 11 lap old softs, and Larkin isn't going to do anything about Montana. He's losing time to the Prima with less than 3 laps to go now in this race. So what can Luke do towards turn 1? And look at the lunge from Rocco there up the inside. And that was bold, brilliant and beautiful from Rocco in the UNI Virtuosi. And he's now got the outside on Luke, and it could be 2 here, and he's going to go all the way around the outside of the high-tech, and I think Rocco's got that done brilliantly, and he takes P4, and now he needs Luke to do him a favour. And I was going to say he needs Luke to do him a favour and back everyone else up so he can get in penalty range, get out of their penalty window. That's not going to happen, because Rocco's just picked up a second penalty. He's now on to 6 seconds, so Luke will return to P4 at this rate, but he's got Darry and Pease to hold up for 2.5 laps more yet. As Marty and Larkin battling away for P2, and let's keep on with this action. I wonder if Larkin made a mistake. I know Marty was close to him, but I didn't realise he was that close. So Marty's through. We're into turn 11 now. Larkin will have DRS down the main straight, but I'm intrigued to see what happened there, what invited them on. Darry and Pease are the 2 aggressors behind the back of Luke's high-tech, and this is a battle for position. None of these guys have penalties, nor does Ben JS, Scream and Tope behind them, and Darry's going to struggle to deal with, I think, Pease around the outside of the last corner, but he just about keeps the dams behind. But now they're in a drag race towards turn 1. Darry's got some slipstream off the back of Luke, but Luke's deciding to give his slipstream to Pease there as they come into turn 1 into the breaker zone. Pease up the inside, gets clobbered, does well to keep the straight line, but then they take each other out. There's a secondary contact. Everyone else goes clean through, and Luke, no one wants to overtake him in this race, as Ben JS is now having to contend with Scream and Taupe and Campbell, rather than trying to attack Luke ahead after those two came to blows a couple of laps ago. Larkin is 3/4 of a second behind Marty. It doesn't seem he can do anything. Lars has gone again, this time at turn 3. And Marty has picked up a penalty, so... yes, already had a penalty. I think was that speeding for pit lane? As Taupe has gone. Yes, it was coming into pit lane, so that was probably presumably by Larkin letting go. And he's been trying too hard to get back past. I apologise for forgetting that. Lars has spun at turn 4. 2 spins in 2 corners. Taupe is doing donuts, it seems, at turn 9. This is our main battle on track. It's the Luke train as it was and as it still is. This time it's Ben Jess, Scream, Campbell, Darry, Brendan, Cortez is the order behind him. Martin's hot off the race, 27.9, which will irk Montana, I'm sure, that he's lost that fast up the race. Maybe going for it now, as we are on to the last lap of this race. Yellow flag, that is Lars again, as Ben Jess pulls out to the inside and gets the move done into turn 1. Campbell's trying to go around the outside of Scream behind them. He's got a penalty though, which will pay dividends to his placings later on. Scream doesn't have a penalty, so Scream probably happy to let that one go, but he's now vulnerable to Darry, who also is penalty free, so Campbell will be hoping those two have a little ding dong on this last lap. He's got a good run here on Luke, and is Luke going to let Campbell go, or is he going to fight this? I think he lets Campbell go, and now Campbell will be begging Luke to do something to back these guys up throughout the lap. Campbell needs 3 seconds, and Ben Jess's teammate gets out of his way. Ben Jess has got a penalty. That's important for Campbell that he's gained that place back. And going off in the background there, Brendan going through with Scream and Darry taking each other out, the two without penalties. That is, well, now Campbell, the luck has swung back in his favour. Luke is the one who's now going to demote Campbell, but Darry and Scream, that is big for Campbell that those two have walked each other out of the race at turn 6 and 7. But it's going to be NS6 Montana who's going to come around the last corner to take our feature race victory from 16th on the grid with a qualifying ban. Remarkable from him. And Marty takes second. He'll drop behind Larkin with his penalty. Rocco's 4th, but he's got 6 seconds of penalties. I think he's still going to hold on to 4th place though. It's Campbell that takes 5th. Brendan and Luke are jostling way towards the line, and look at Cortez as well, trying to get between them. And in the end, that's Campbell, Luke, Ben JS, and then Pease. Cortez dropped with an extra penalty, then Scream. Darry's 10th. Cortez ended up 11th. Brendan's 12th. Gat and Taupe, we wait for them to finish, but Campbell did remarkably well to still come out on that race in 5th. I think Luke was backing, or trying to back up through the last corner, possibly, to aid Campbell, because I don't think he had a penalty, as not 100% sure what happened at the last couple of corners there, but there was clearly something happened for them to all be 3 wide. Campbell, that was damage limitation for him in the end, after not just second safety car, but the first one as well, ended up 5th. Barty took 3rd behind Larkin. Those two had an interesting race between them, but driver of the day goes to Montana, understandably so. We'll run through the results, and then we will come to Montana with his reef there. But let's whiz through this. So Montana wins from 15th on the grid, not 17th or 16th. Larkin takes P2, a good race from him, as it was from Marty. They avoided the ensuing chaos. Rocco takes 4th. Campbell fell and then recovered well to 5th. Luke 6th. Ben Jess 7th. Pease 8th. Then Scream. Darry rounds out the top 10. Cortez 11th. Brendan 12th. Gat 13th. Taupe 14th. Then Lars and Energetics in California. Those last 3 all failing to finish. And to remind you of the sprint results, it was Brendan who won from Campbell, Montana. Larkin, Cortez, Ben Jess was 6th. Then the 2 Germans of Darry and Taupe. Rocco was 9th. California 10th. Gat 11th, Marty 12th. How things turn around for him in the feature. Energetics 13th, Scream 14th, Luke 15th, Lars 16th, Peas 17th. Those last two again failing to finish. But that was cracking fun, and hopefully we'll get more of the same next week. Thank you for tuning in to League of Europe Formula 2. I have been QVR Killer, and we'll catch you again same time next week, 7 PM British Summer Time, for some Formula 2 action as the championship battle rumbles on between Montana and Campbell. Flowed both ways this week, but mainly in the direction of Montana, who is edging closer to that championship lead. They are very close to points. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's very, very close. I think Campbell is just about ahead still for round 8 next week. So we'll see you then. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.